The opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the individuals and do not reflect any official view of the United Steelworkers, USW, Local 105, or its officers or sub-board members for officers. Now, from the banks of the mighty Mississippi, this is Steel Revolution.
You're trying to pump us up with the intro and then failed to deliver.
I don't think I can work today.
It's
Come
hard.
on, I was waiting for it.
Go.
I left you wide open.
Oh, welcome to the the tens of listeners that we got while we struggle with iTunes to get on there. And as I like to say, the labor alarm clock, asking people to wake up and participate in what's going on around them. Local news. We've got solidarity events. 27th of August at the Bandits game. Mike, you got some?
Yep, solidarity event at the Bandits game. $9 tickets. We're sitting in the lower area. It's also beer stein night, and I think it's cheap beer night as well. So I think that'll help get our people out there. We got tickets at the hall, so come by and pick them up.
September 17th, a Solidarity March. We're not calling it a pub crawl.
Not yet, anyhow.
Not yet. Downtown Moline, myself, Lee Schaefer's trying to talk to a few businesses, get us some deals for down there. More to come on that.
And we've also got 2 hockey nights already picked out for this year. More to come later.
Is the hockey nights going to be on cheap beer night?
Yeah, they're dollar beer, dollar dog night.
Can't do nothing without drinking.
Nope.
Well, at our outline here, I don't have anything local. I will have to say that most of this is purely geared towards the presidential election. You got anything, Mike?
I don't have anything local either.
All right. Iowa news. Steve King, if you remember the last time, one of our last shows about how Steve King made his comments about how Christian, the West, had made more contributions to society. Iowa educators came together and penned an open letter to him, which was published in the Des Moines Register. Iowa State Assistant Professor Katie Salwell, and signed by over 100 historians and social study educators across Iowa, reads, "For literally thousands of years, people of color, people who are not Christians, and cultures outside of the West have made profound contributions in every domain of society, on every continent, even during eras of brutal oppression, violence against them by white Westerners and Christians who worked in well-documented ways to deny, ignore, or eradicate their contributions." So, we got some good people at Iowa State, Mike.
I don't know about that, but it just proves that Steve King is a moron, and it just seems that our area has its fair share, if not more than fair share of morons in politics. Between Steve King, Braindead, Rauner, even Madigan now. So
Scott Walker, we got a cluster of
they're all around us right now.
got a cluster of dumb fucks around us. What was that signal, Sean?
Oh, you sound good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, thanks. More for Iowa. We'll be coming up on the Iowa Federation of Labor Convention. Hoping to get some audio or some interviews from the guys out there while the locals out there.
Should be several good speakers out there, so hopefully you can work your magic and talk to some of them.
Mike got some, there's either got to be a mic, which I got your iRig, so we're good for a mic or some cameras, and I'm in.
Oh, I know. That's all it is. As long as there's some press, some media, Roy is all around it. So
You got some news from Illinois?
Illinois, it's just a broken record again with Rauner. He's traveling the state. He was just in the Quad Cities again last week, up by Rockford again. He's staying away from Chicago on purpose, but he's just talking about his more balanced budget. When you look into this budget, that the stopgap budget that was put into place for education, it's far from balanced. It's still way off. Matter of fact, more than $8 billion off. So he's touting that he's getting the state of Illinois back on track. And as a matter of fact, we're, I think, on month 20, or almost on month 20 since he's been around, and we just keep getting worse. So congratulations, Governor Rauner. You're a fucking moron.
Without a doubt, should end up the same place Wisconsin's in with Walker. All right, American news around the vice president. We said we'd look and get some more information about the vice president candidates. So, in looking and doing some research, Mike Pence was part of a group called the Indiana Policy Review, which is a think tank, kind of like an ALEC. They brought forth different ideas and policies to cut welfare, health programs in the state, expand charter schools, oppose public sector unions, and Mike Pence is also a big supporter of the Tea Party movement. Again, you see the repeated agendas of the Republican governors. They want schools to do bad because they want to get charter schools in. They don't want the public schools. So on and so forth. Mike Pence did some talk radio in which he called himself Rush Limbaugh on decaf. You look confused, Mike.
Why would you ever want to compare yourself to Rush Limbaugh anyway? But I mean, this guy is bad for everybody. If you look at his record, Roy, you printed out quite a bit of stuff here. Opposes same-sex marriage and civil unions. Voted against Trade and Globalization Act of 2007. Loves free trade agreements, including the TPP. Big surprise there.
Yeah, that's the thing that really... So you vote in the trade agreements, which has these stipulations or things inside them that say that they're going to help people because they know it's going to take away jobs. So you vote for all these trade agreements in, and then you turn around and vote against expanding the adjustment assistance that gives American workers adversely affected by trade deals, gives them help, gives them retraining. You're going to cut that, yet you're going to put in these trade deals that is going to create or is going to lead to the loss of American jobs. 1990 campaign, he used political donations for his campaign to fund his pay his mortgage, personal credit card, groceries, golf, which should tie him in with Trump, wife's car payment, which was not illegal, but it said in the article that it contributed to the loss of that campaign. Campaign used a ad in which an actor in a robe and a headdress with a thick Middle Eastern accent thanked his opponent for not doing anything to lessen U.S. imports of foreign oil, in which he later apologized and was looked upon as negative and wasn't good for his campaign. Let's see what else we got here for highlights of Pence.
There's nothing good.
Yeah.
There's nothing good on this.
It literally, I don't know, spent some time pulling all this together and just got pissed off the more I wrote down on what he voted against raising the federal minimum wage to $7.25 from $5.15. Voted against the Employee Free Choice Act, or the check card, so against unions. Was one of the governors that was against the American Recovery Reinvestment Act, so during the bailout and the stimulus package, but then turned around and sought millions of dollars to help his district, and then later had job fairs to try to get businesses backed by the stimulus to come to his district and set up jobs. Again, more of his flip-flopping, so you didn't help what caused it, or try to help people get out of the Great Recession, and which was caused by banks, and then you vote against Dodd-Frank. So I don't want to help you, but I know it happened, and now I'm not going to do anything to make sure it never happens again. We go through more of this
Against
here.
energy efficiency and renewable energy. I mean, what
Climate change denier.
voted against the DREAM Act?
Yeah.
Wants to privatize Social Security. I mean, this guy's perfect for Trump.
Against tobacco settlement and rate regulation, and then flip-flopped on whether smoking kills people. Had is quoted as once that smoking doesn't kill people. Let's see that. Yeah, like I said, no friend of the LGBT community. I know we brought that up in the last one on how he did the Religious Freedom Act, or the right to discriminate laws. And then was going to have governor of Indiana, just in a state-ran newspaper. I wonder what views would be in there.
Yeah.
So now move on to a little bit on Tim Kaine. Did some missionary work in Honduras, which, if you paid any attention, it's been brought up a lot on how he's fluent in Spanish. Lawyer specializing in fair housing. Had a lawsuit against Nationwide Mutual Insurance that originally won $100 million against, it was a discrimination lawsuit, which later ended up settling for $17 million because that over $100 million was overturned in an appeal. Has done regular pro bono work. Served on a Richmond City Council, mayor of Richmond, in which he came up with and helped establish the Maggie L. Walker Governor's School for Government and International Studies, which now serves top students in Central Virginia. Also, 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school was built while he was mayor of Richmond. Also had a project called the Project Exile, which shifted gun crimes from local court to federal court, where armed defendants faced higher sentences, which reduced the city of Richmond's homicide rate by 55%. Opposed tax increases, but supported tax abatement and the tax abatement program for renovating buildings, which led to a housing renovation boom in Richmond. Later wrote an apology for the city's role in slavery, which was well received. But then later they had murals put on a flood wall there in Richmond, and one was Confederate General Robert E. Lee, which he then compromised and put Abraham Lincoln and Powhatan Betty, which I had to look up, to be honest. I didn't know who he was, but was a general in the Union Army. And he was black. So, and then he made the comments of, much of our history is not pleasant. You can't just whitewash it. In his response, that one was mixed for doing that on. Did use $6,000 in public funds to bus people to the Million Mile March, an anti-gun violence rally in Washington, D.C. Faced backlash. Later raised private funds to reimburse the city. As governor of Virginia, he protected 40,000 acres from development. and it had a Virginia Land Preservation Tax Credit, so pretty good on the environment when it comes to conservation. Let's see. Expressed support for tighter restrictions on mountaintop removal of coal mining, but then again, he kind of flip-flops and was for clean coal, which I imagine in Virginia they needed it and needed jobs. So I mean, I can see the point of wanting to support that. Had an executive order banning smoking for all government buildings and state-owned cars. As you go through this list, you start seeing the opposite sides of Pence in most circumstances.
Yeah, for the most part. He has had his other sides, like you said, where he's flip-flopped. I remember a couple years ago him coming out against same-sex marriage. His office came out against it, and then not too soon after, it was probably 2-3 weeks, said he had done some soul searching and sat down and thought about it and came back out and said, how can we deny people their chance to get married no matter who they are, no matter who they love? So he did come back out and apologize and change his stance on that. My big issue with the guy was he supported Fast Track, he supported the TPP, was always a pretty big supporter of NAFTA, but now he's coming out and saying no, he's not. So,
well, that's what the part that I have with that is he said that I don't support the Trans-Pacific Partnership in its current
the way
state.
it is now,
So,
yeah.
Okay, we changed a little bit. We're still back to the trade deal, and we're still back to losing jobs. He has made budget cuts, which shut down highway rest stops, which I'm sure, I don't know. I guess you just had to do it the old way and pull off the side of the road, take care of your business. And it did hike up tuition rates for higher education, so he has had to do that. But then, you get back on the flip side. Following 2007 Virginia Tech shooting, invested $42 million investment in mental health programs and reforms. So take that in with what our current governor is doing, and that's just getting rid of any kind of help for mental health. And Illinois governor.
Yeah, both Iowa and Illinois governor, and he's pretty good with unions. I see on your research here, his voting record's 96% with the AFL-CIO and with unions. So,
but if you read before that, he does support right to work in Virginia. I mean, it's a
again, it's all going to be all about holding them accountable and putting the right people in the right positions to do that. So.
Yeah, pro fracking, but not in national forest. He had, so you get the flip flop on that. Against Citizens United, which is good. Supported the Affordable Care Act. Good on that.
We've just got some areas where we've got to educate and again hold both him and Hillary accountable if that's what it comes to.
And again, another opposite side to Pence. Strongly supports regulation of the financial industry, so not to get us into another housing bubble.
Yep.
So like you said, I looked into this and saw some other people that I'm friends with on Facebook, and it said, when is it going to not be so much stop Trump, but what's Hillary going to do? And I think it's 50-50. It's going to be stop Trump, but there needs to be a message of what Hillary's going to do, but it is in everything. It seems like this is the campaign, and said it in other conversations with people. It's the lesser of two evils, and hopefully you get them to move on some of the stuff that you don't agree with them on.
Yep.
Yeah, let's take a break, Sean.
Can rein Trump in to be more traditional, or at least more disciplined as a candidate?
I lost all hope of that probably 7-8 months ago now, quite candidly. It's amazing to me that anybody's still having a discussion about having some sort of an intervention or bringing him back on message. I think, as Errol just said, this is his message. His message is being a loud-mouthed dick, basically, and going out there and offending people and then engaging in a bunch of airing of grievances.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Are you recording now?
No, give me a minute.
So we could just go? Oh, I'm glad I asked.
No
shut your pie hole.
What the fuck, Jason?
Pretty soon, this is going to be the last time you're going to get asked. It's just going to go.
You're used to that, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. You guys can go anytime. I think I need a Union Stewart. I can only find a good one in here.
Oh, we're back. We're back after the break, which I'm going to assume that Sean's worked some audio magic and it sounds really good. So
I doubt it, but we'll see.
Well, you get what you get.
let's get into the airing of our grievances with Trump. Got some problems with him. Trump in rare form admitted that he was wrong. We'll just go through points of shit that has been his big shitstorm the last week, 2 weeks.
And there's been plenty.
Admits he was wrong. He tweeted, "The plane I saw on television was a hostage plane in Geneva, Switzerland, not a plane carrying $400 million cash to Iran." There was a release of 4 Americans, and if you do recall, you know, Reagan did that, which had the release of 7 Americans. So, Republican, I can't think of a good word, ultra Republican president, best ever, you know, did that. But, you know, let's try to say something about Obama instead. Trump has responded. Of course, he's going to make America great again. He's going to do great things for jobs. Has been quoted as, "Our taxes are too high. Our wages are too high. We need to compete with other countries." And it's probably other countries that make his shit, like his hats and his suits and.
And I love the interview. You've got it down here. I'm sure you watched it too, where they pulled out his. And actually, the best interview was the one with Letterman, where Letterman pulls out his suit. "Hey, where was this made?" Pulls out his ties. "Hey, where was this made?" And all he has is that dumb smile on his face. That's all he did was look at him and smile. What can you say to that? You're going to make America great again by sending all our jobs to Mexico and China, you fucking idiot.
More of the, hypocrite. Just more. We'll point it out more. I'm going to skip around on some of this stuff here, as I do have some audio that we'll should be able to throw in there again for Sean.
In our shared mission to make America great again, I support and endorse our Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan, good. He's a good man. He's a good man and he's a good guy. And we may disagree on a couple of things, but mostly we agree, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to do a lot of wonderful things. He's a good man. And while I'm at it, I hold in the highest esteem Senator John McCain for his service to our country in uniform and in public office, and I fully support and endorse.
All right, continuing with Trump's flip-flops and mistakes and now changing. Seems to be like he is falling under the establishment boot and changing his mind. On that clip, he turned around to support Paul Ryan, which he had said previously, "I like Paul, but these are horrible times of our country. We need very strong leadership. We need very, very strong leadership I'm just not quite there. I'm not quite there yet, he said of Ryan. Then to go along with McCain, he had said, let's see, Trump has said, never been there with John McCain because I've always felt he should have done more for the vets. And then, if you remember when he was during the debates, during the run for the nomination, but that he was a loser and no war hero, which I assume he didn't follow by one of his trademark thumbs up. Go along with people that he had came out against in the campaign for the nomination. There's a report, according to John Kasich, that Don Jay reached out to one of his aides to ask for a VP pick. I gotta say, I don't like him and don't like Ted Cruz, Kasich and Cruz, but good for them for sticking up, for not liking the guy and staying on point for not liking him and not falling back in line with the party. And I guess Rubio to a certain extent too.
Yeah, and Kasich came out and said there's not a chance, not one chance, that I would ever be his VP.
All right, ask who his first female pick would be for his cabinet. He picked Ivanka to be part of his cabinet, keeping it with the family, same as the convention, all about the family. He said, I can tell you everybody would say, put Ivanka in. You know that, right? She's very popular. She's done very well, he continued.
He says nothing when he tries to say a lot. Absolutely nothing.
If you were one of the poor guys that sent a recurring contribution to Trump's campaign, good luck stopping it. He has not made it easy for you, as there is no way to stop your reoccurring contribution to his campaign on his website, which I'm going to take a guess, and I believe it was in my research that it was PayPal is where he's got it from.
It is.
It is?
Yep.
Which goes right into what we'll be talking. Oh, goes right into the next topic. Perfect. Can't believe I put that down there. So anyway, by the way, Hillary Clinton's campaign, if you do donate to her, has a opt-out button or a cancel button right on it, so you can cancel it for anybody that had Trump's and made the decision that they made a bad decision. You got to go call your credit card company or bank to stop it. Trump's has a new team of billionaire advisors for guessing his economic packages. Economic advisors. So 13 people team, no women. So Ivanka must have not been good enough
No
to
women.
make that
What
team.
is it, like 3 or 4 of them are huge hedge fund guys?
Yeah.
4 guys named Steve. I heard him say that.
Self-made oil billionaire, former chief executive of a steelmaker, hedge fund people, the guy that started PayPal. So that's obviously here we got a connection. Follow the money. And then John Paulson, who was a dick that made a bunch of money, hedge fund guy that made a bunch of money out of the housing crisis.
Yep. I think he's heading it up, isn't he?
So I believe so. It doesn't say here who's actually the head of it.
That's a couple articles I read said he was going to head it up.
Surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
More of the bad things for Trump. The Khan family, of course, the Gold Star family, how he quoted, "What have they sacrificed? I've sacrificed." My guess is he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, was pissed that it wasn't gold. It had to be gold. I would say platinum, but we know he loves gold. That's original. I did not steal that. I came up with that myself. Anyway, he just goes on interview with George
Stephanopoulos.
I almost said Snuffleupagus. He said on sacrificing. I think I've made a lot of sacrifices. I work very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, and built great structures. That's his sacrifice.
And that's an awesome sacrifice, especially comparing the two. What an idiot!
Which now I will try to skip around and try to get lost in my notes. But let's see. So he's created lots of jobs. Now, unless you were paying close attention, just tried to bring 78 foreign workers to work for 2 properties in Florida. Earlier this month, Trump filed temporary visa applications for 78 positions for servers, housekeepers, cooks to staff the Mar-a-Lago Club in Palm Beach at the Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida, citing an inability to find Americans who could fill the positions. And I know we brought that up in a previous show. These positions pay $10.17 an hour, or $11.13 an hour for servers, $12.74 for cooks. That's according to BuzzFeed. So yeah, make America great again and bring in some foreign workers. Back on Trump's military snafus, Meghan McCain, who had a great quote that said, I would ask what kind of barbarian would attack the parents of a fallen soldier. Oh yeah, the same person who attacks POWs, talking about her dad. More in the way. On the Purple Heart, a soldier that had received a Purple Heart supposedly gave one to Trump outside of an event, and Trump said, I always wanted to get a Purple Heart. This was much easier.
Have you seen that picture? He's actually got it, and he holds on to it, and he showed it at that interview. It just blows my mind.
I do have another audio clip on that. Maybe Sean can throw something in on that if he deems it worthy.
I just like, I when we were preparing for this one, looking through some of the stuff he said, some of the stuff he did this week, the whole debate schedule that he said the NFL got a hold of him, and it's just not going to work out because it conflicts with their schedule. The NFL posted a couple different things saying we've not ever had any contact with the Trump campaign and won't have contact with them. I mean, just shows you he's already preparing because I don't know. I don't think he can beat her.
I can DVR your fucking debate if my football game's on. I'm let the debates happen because I want to see it.
Well, then watching some of the questions people were talking to him about his relationship with the Russians and his direct quote of, I think Putin and I will get along very well. What does that tell you? What should that say to the average American? Are we that stupid that we'd vote a guy in that would get along with the Russian guy? I mean...
Well, and then he made comments of what Saddam Hussein was a great leader and Kim Jong-un has endorsed him.
Yeah. Or they were talking to him last week about all the protests going on everywhere he's at. Anywhere he goes, there's protests. And his reaction to that was, don't worry, we've got a great campaign. Even the protesters are going to vote for me in the end. I mean, can you be that stupid? I guess you can, but...
I love the new commercial where it says like your kids are watching.
Yeah.
And then like one of the first things that he says was, I could take a gun and shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square. Nothing would happen to me. And these kids are watching mortified. That's a
that one commercial. Catches your attention right away.
Unfucking believable. So the Times has reported. So Trump did say on the Howard Stern show, Trump had taken 5 military deferments, which helped him escape service in the Vietnam War. While avoiding service, Trump apparently slept with numerous women, never contacted any sexually transmitted diseases, and an experience that he described to Howard Stern in '97 as his personal Vietnam.
So horny.
What the fuck?
Me sucky sucky.
Wait a minute, Full Metal Jacket? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Me love you long time.
What do you get for $10?
Everything you want.
More bad news from the military front for Trump. Election year or not, this is coming from the VFW. So election year or not, the VFW will not tolerate anyone berating a Gold Star family member for exercising his or her right to speech or expression. That's coming from VFW Commander-in-Chief Brian Duffy. There are certain subjects that no amount of wordsmanship can repair once crossed. Given one's life to this nation is a great sacrifice, followed closely by Gold Star families who have a right to make their voices heard. So not making friends with the VFW either.
He ain't making friends with anybody.
Further to, I saw this and was amazed. So he came out against fire marshals. One particular in Colorado that he said that the fire marshal must be a Democrat because he didn't let a lot of people go to his event. Would have been overcapacity for the building. Trump's campaign oversold tickets, so then people couldn't show up. This comes after the same fire department that fire marshal works for rescued Trump out of an elevator that was broke down. Oh, and by the way, the same fire chief, let me look here, name is Brett Lacey, who got I believe, an service award during the shootings that took place outside of, was it Planned Parenthood in Colorado? So another hero that cannot escape Trump's insults and that. Again, making jobs news. Trump Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City is closing. I see that the person that runs that for Trump blaming the union, in which the union is stated that they've made several concessions over the last couple years, and it's all came on a sacrifice of their health insurance and benefits and their pay pretty much.
I'll be curious to follow that story because I wonder if it's just a PR grab on his part.
Well, now I recall now with his union in Vegas voted to have a union in, but
Correct.
now is having a hard time getting a
He's fighting it.
contract
Yep.
because they're fighting it. And in the last show, they spent at least $500,000 in upfront trying not to get the union in. That they on average made $3 an hour less than any other hotel
Correct.
on the stripper in Vegas.
Yep.
So again, if you think he's against trade and for the American workers, you better think again.
We got to get to the best story of the week with him. We got to.
All right, and Trump just does not like kids.
Cowardice. Are you serious? Apologies for freedom. I can't handle this. When freedom rings, answer the call. On your feet, stand up tall. Freedom's on our shoulders. USA. Enemies of freedom. Face the music. Come on, boys, take them down. President Donald Trump knows how to make America great. Deal from strength or get crushed every time. Over here, USA. Over there, USA. Freedom and liberty everywhere. Oh, say can you see it's not so easy, but we have to stand up tall and answer freedom's call. USA, 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 USA. We're the land of the free and the home of the brave. USA, USA. attitude. USA. American pride. USA. It's attitude, it's who we are. Stand up tall. We're the red, white, and blue. Fiercely free, that's who. Our colors don't run, no siree. Over here, USA. Over there, USA. Freedom and liberty everywhere. USA. Oh, say can you see it's not so easy, but we have to stand up tall and answer freedom's call.
Thanks to the Freedom Kids for that great song.
Awesome. I love it.
Thanks.
Next is Sylvie Balls.
It's Sean's new ringtone.
Thanks for Donald Trump is ready to answer the call, but not ready to get the bill, as he will throw it out. According to the Freedom Kids' dad, their manager, that they were unable to set up a table to sell their CD outside of an event, which he has brought forth a lawsuit. Also, following a campaign call at the last minute to perform in Des Moines, in which only Trump to cancel, back to the flip-flop, probably fired him. So after canceling, left the travel costs and everything for the Freedom Kids to pay for.
Well, and the best part is now that they had affiliated themselves with Trump, they lost a whole bunch of other performances because of it. So awesome.
Hitching up the train to the bankruptcy. Other news, there'd been some there's been some talk about childcare, in which I know Melania said her dad was for childcare, whatever. Somebody had asked Trump about childcare and he refused to answer, and then pretty much said, yeah, it's easy for companies to set up daycares themselves. All you need are some blocks, some swings, and some toys, which I guess he should have had at his rally, because he couldn't he couldn't take on the Mike says the best story of the week.
It is the best story of the week. I mean, in the video that you watch while he's giving a speech, he talks. You can hear a baby crying, and he keeps saying, "Oh no, it's just a baby. It's just a baby. That's not a problem. That's not a problem." Then pretty soon he says, "No, just kidding. Get that kid out of here," and kicks him out. I mean, how can you do that?
All right. Again, more audio from Sean and you.
Don't worry about that baby. I love babies. So, I love babies. I hear that baby crying. I like it. What a baby. What a beautiful baby. Don't worry. The mom's running around like, don't worry about it, you know. It's young and beautiful and healthy, and that's what we want. Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. That's all right. Don't worry. I think she really believed me that I love having a baby crying while I'm speaking.
Dealing with babies, okay?
We're going to take care of those babies.
Have you ever kidnapped a baby?
That is Donald Trump signing a baby.
Don't worry about that baby. I love babies. So.
Oh, youth, look at that beautiful baby.
I love babies. I hear that baby crying. I like it.
I love to hear babies cry a little bit. It's fine. It's good.
What a baby. What a beautiful baby.
Little beautiful baby. Disgusting little weak, pathetic baby. Very, very stupid babies.
They're coming from Asia to have babies here, and we take care of the baby for 85 years.
Congratulations. We take care of that baby for 90 years.
We have to take care of the babies for the life of the baby.
Ivanka, as you know, is going to be having a baby. Who takes advertisements in a newspaper when a baby's born, especially poor people?
That baby, little baby,
A beautiful Jewish baby.
Kasich is a baby. He's a baby.
You're not a baby. Okay, you're not a baby.
When I was 1 year old, I was a baby. There were moments with the gorilla, the way he held that child, it was almost like a mother holding a baby. Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here.
All right, moving on to Clinton. Clinton was cozying up to the hydraulic fracking industry, recording that she attended a $50,000 per place fundraiser in Aspen, Colorado, hosted by fracking magnate Sharif Sokaya. I'm gonna slaughter that name.
You gotta be fracking me.
You can save that till after this. The event raised $650,000 for her campaign.
Holy
So
crap.
does that mean if it's $50,000 a plate and it only raised $650,000? Is that number right? Does that mean there was only 13 people there?
Maybe I should say it says a place, so maybe that was a full
okay.
table.
Maybe it was a full table. I was gonna say that wasn't very many people at her event then.
So if you remember when Bernie Sanders, of course, is against fracking, Clinton came out and said that she had all these conditions for the fracking industry, and said that by the time they get through all of my conditions, I don't think there will be many places in America where fracking will continue or take place, is what her claim was. During her prior stint in public office, however, Clinton has been gentler to the industry.
It's all about money.
On Friday, federal third party running, so you got the Libertarian Party and Green Party.
Green Party, yep.
Federal judge ruled against a lawsuit they brought in that said violating their First Amendment right, as well as breaking antitrust laws by setting the public polling threshold for a debate to 15%. They lost that. Just moving on more to the world, it seems like Obama had mentioned that during the lame duck session that he's going to try to push the TPP forward. Don't really see how he's going to be able to do that in this climate with what's going on and how many people's against it, and the two front runners for president saying they're against it. But that was with a press conference with Singapore's Prime Minister Lee. Lee went on to warn that the failure to pass the agreement would have negative repercussions for the U.S. relations with 11 nations. Can we get any more like we had with NAFTA, and we're losing jobs? How are we going to negatively, if we don't do it, how is it going to hurt us more?
Hurt us more, yeah.
Let's see, going on to Lee's quotes. And if at the end, waiting at the altar, the bride doesn't arrive, I think there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be very hurt, not just emotionally, but really damaged for a long time to come. And I say, come to Galesburg.
Yeah, I agree.
And we'll show you what hurt looks
Let's
like.
look at Maytag. Let's look at Butler.
Yep.
That whole end of town.
Had Carrier, in which Pence, and I just now remembered I wanted to bring it up earlier when we were talking about him, all for these free trade deals. Then you went to try to beg Carrier to stay, and they said no. And oh yeah, and then by the way, remember you voted against extra help for these trade deals for those workers to try to get retrained, which by the way, Carrier's USW. Seems like there's some headway in the Mexican teacher protests that seems like they're willing to come to the table and talk to the government to talk to the teachers. One farmer in that area that had never attended a protest, again, if you think back to our earlier shows, we mentioned about this, who had that the farmer had never attended a protest prior to the murder of his 21-year-old son. A supporter of the teachers union now believes that all must participate in the movement. We must struggle for a Mexico where there is peace, equality, and we all have access to the same opportunity, said the father. Too much blood has already been shed. And in our next statement, we're trying to run through here so we're not too long on time. The corporations are coming, which... Do you have the audio for that, Sean? Or are we going to have to redo that again? Okay. Sports Authority filed for bankruptcy, then tried to give their top executives what was $3 million worth of incentives just for doing their best while they were going through bankruptcy, in which Department of Justice said no. Good for them. We've seen similar things happen to Hostess, where it was we can't afford to pay the workers and this and that, file for bankruptcy, move jobs to Mexico, and then CEOs get huge amount of money. So glad to see that at least part was done right there. In good news, the corporation seems like Under Armour is starting plans to move jobs back to the U.S., starting another manufacturing facility in Baltimore. That's it with that. Want to mention the Docker podcast if you're looking for other union podcasts. I know Dan Cass is a guy that does that, Longshoreman. And know that they had mentioned our podcast. They're in with good friends with the Steel Megaphone and the guys up there, so wanted to mention them. If you're looking for another union podcast to listen to, look them up. They're on iTunes. And what else you got, Mike?
I think that's it. I think we're up to your douche of the week.
What do you think?
I don't think we need to double up yet, so I think we need to pick somebody new. So
Pence?
I agree.
That's what I was thinking.
My thoughts. Since it can't be Geisens, we'll go ahead with Pence.
Let's hold off on Geisens until we get the editing. There's hope for next week, or it could be like anybody else, and like Steel Megaphone waited till one of the guys was gone, and then they were the douche of the week. They did. So one of the actual guys that did do it was douche of the week. So
what Roy's saying, Sean, is Roy's on vacation, so we need to hurry up and do another one next week.
I think you're
so
right.
He's the douche of the week next week. So this week it's Pence.
So, congratulations, Mike Pence.
Yep. So that's it for number 5. Thanks for listening.
Me love you long time.
This has been Steel Revolution. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steel Revolution Podcast. Questions or comments, email us steelrevolution105@gmail.com. Steel Revolution is a production of Steelworkers 105, Bettendorf, Iowa. Steel Revolution.